she started blaming me for everything. A couple of months after our daughter was born, she started exhibiting symptoms of postpartum depression, and I decided to talk to her parents so they would convince her to start therapy. I had already tried to talk to her about it myself, but she told me that it was nothing and would get really irritable whenever I would bring it up. If I'm being honest, I was just really scared that she would end up doing something to the baby out of anger or something because I've heard stories. So I really wanted her to get help, but she was not willing to admit that she had any problems at all. Now I know that raising a child is a really difficult job, and no matter what is happening now, I will always be grateful to her for doing her best at the time. However, I still have to say that she had become a really difficult person to live with in the years following Jade's birth. She would constantly be mad at me, and in the first couple of months, I could understand the logic behind it. I expected it to go away with time, but even after almost a year or two had passed, she still seemed to be mad at me all the time. We couldn't even talk to each other without everything turning into a fight, and I always felt like she was looking for an excuse to fight or argue with me. She would snap at me for the smallest reason, and even though I would let it go most times, it was really difficult to do so, because I was doing my best at work after slogging for more than half the day at work. Nobody enjoys coming back home to a perpetually annoyed and angry wife. With time, I found it harder and harder to let things go or just drop a fight, and it would just keep escalating. She would always keep blaming me for everything that went wrong in her life, and I could never understand why. I have already mentioned that all the choices that she had made were completely her own and I had never tried to influence it. But even then, every time we were arguing, she would bring up how she had sacrificed everything for me, and I couldn't even be grateful to her for that. I don't know where she got that from, because I was always looking for opportunities to make her realize that I was grateful for everything that she had done for me and our family. I would organize dates every weekend. And try to take them out for dinner at least 4 times a month to fancy places because I knew how much Marco enjoyed it. I would celebrate every milestone with great pomp and extravagance, but nothing ever seemed to be enough for her. She would still keep complaining about how I was just never grateful. Even when I would take her out for dates and stuff, she would keep looking for excuses to fight with me, and would never just be in the moment and try to enjoy it. It was all getting frustrating for me because I was sick of getting blamed for every single thing. It had come to a point where I was regretting ever even meeting Margot or even asking her out. Even when I would bring up valid points during fights, she would just negate all of it by saying that she had sacrificed her career to raise our daughter. I had promised to support her, so I just had to shut up and deal with it. But I don't think constantly having to be a doormat for her to walk all over was my definition of support. I still put up with it though for the sake of my daughter, because I didn't want Jade to suffer. We stayed in that marriage for almost 5 years, and with each year, the fights got worse and it became harder for me to put up with Margot. A couple of months after Jade had turned 5, I came to the conclusion that I could no longer make this marriage work. After a particularly nasty fight, I realized that Jade deserved a better life and we couldn't provide that for her if we stayed together. By then, Margot and I were either always fighting or just not even talking to each other. And that's a hostile environment to grow up in, which is something I did not want for Jade. I had always figured that after one point, Margot and I would go back to being a happy couple. But by then, I had given up all hopes of that ever happening.